Since your car accident, does your headache follow a very specific path? Starting here, at the base of your skull, maybe just on one side, traveling up the back side, across the temple, and then settling as a throbbing pain, either in the forehead or right behind the eye. It's more than likely that you've been told these are just migraine headaches. You may have been prescribed sumatriptan, told to sit in a dark room whenever you're having these migraines, maybe even gotten Botox injections just to make sure that they're doing everything they can think of to get rid of the pain. But if those solutions aren't working, then it's because you don't have a brain or neurological problem, you have a mechanical problem. Today, I'm going to explain exactly why a whiplash injury will create this ram's horn pattern headache. And more importantly, we're going to give you a 30-second technique where you can verify that your headache is actually coming from your C1, C2 vertebra instead of your neurological system. More importantly, I'm going to show you a technique that'll prove the source of your pain is actually your C1 and C2 vertebra. Let's start with a little story about a patient named, we'll call her Maria. Maria came to my office after experiencing 3 years of what her neurologist called chronic intractable migraines. After her car accident, she was taking high amounts of preventative medications and abortive pills for her symptoms that left her feeling groggy and unable to work. But her MRI was clean and her blood work was normal. However, when talking to Maria about her history, she brought up a car accident that was a minor fender bender, but it had occurred 4 years prior to her coming into the office. Now, unsurprisingly, no one really connected the minor car accident to her headaches because the headaches didn't start until 6 months after the injury occurred. This is still really annoying though because Maria didn't have a neurological problem, she just had a cervicogenic headache. Even though it wasn't a high-speed collision, the ligaments at the top of her neck were stretched in that crash, causing her C2 vertebrae to rotate and entrap the nerve that's responsible for that ram's horn headache pattern. Once we were finally able to address that mechanical trap, her symptoms vanished. If Maria's story sounds like yours, then pay attention because we're about to go over the anatomy. First things first, why the ram's horn pattern? Well, this pain is caused by entrapment of the greater occipital nerve. And this nerve exits your spinal column between the first and second cervical vertebrae. And from there, it has to pierce through two muscles that are relatively thick. You have your inferior oblique, and then you have your trap muscle. When you experience a whiplash injury, your head moves at a rate that these muscles can't counteract. The C1 and C2 vertebra, which are responsible for about 50% of the rotation in your cervical spine, get sheared, and then this creates two problems. Problem number one, inflammation. The joint capsule swells, and that takes up space in the area where the nerve travels. Problem number two, muscle guarding. Your suboccipital muscles go into a kind of permanent Charlie horse to protect your cervical spine and your spinal cord. This Charlie horse literally clamps down on that greater occipital nerve. Because this nerve travels all the way from the back of your skull to the front of your head and behind that eye, it's why your brain perceives the pain as occurring here, here, and here when it originates back here at the base of your skull where that clamp is. This is also why it doesn't matter how much you massage your temples, that pain doesn't go away. If you want to find out if your headache is actually coming from your neck, try this for me. What I need you to do first is, right at the base of your skull, there are these two bumps. And I need you to take both of your thumbs and place them about ½ an inch beneath those bumps. Now, gently, and I mean about 10% of your strength, what I want you to do is push upward and forward towards your eyes and hold this for 20 seconds while taking nice, deep, calm breaths. If while doing this you feel your headache pain change or that eye pressure either is reproduced or diminished, then you have objectively proven that your pain symptoms aren't coming from behind the eye or the temples, they're originating at the top of your neck. A purely vascular headache will not respond to this mechanical pressure, but a cervicogenic headache that is presenting with that ram's horn pattern will respond. However, this advice comes with a big word of caution. If doing this pressure activity makes you feel dizzy or nauseous, stop immediately. This is potentially a sign of upper cervical instability, and that requires a very different approach. If that did get you some relief, that's great, but relief from a little bit of finger pushing for a couple of seconds is not a cure. If your C1 and C2 muscles are tight and clamping down on that greater occipital nerve, it's going to keep flaring up every time you look down at your phone or even going to tie your shoes. If you responded to that suboccipital release, or you have noticed that your headaches or migraines are mimicking that ram's horn pattern, then I want you to go ahead and download the post-traumatic cervical assessment. It's for free and it's down in the description. Just follow the link and download it. It's a checklist that'll help you identify exactly which nerves in your neck are being affected by your tight muscles, and then you can take that information to your doctor. And for those of you who are tired of just managing the pain and want to actually fix the structural problem, I dedicated an entire module of the Whiplash Recovery Blueprint to upper cervical stability and resetting those muscles. We go beyond just trigger pointing your suboccipitals and actually look at how you can perform neurological drills and stabilization exercises that will keep that muscle unclamped permanently. If this video was relevant for you, then we have good news, if nothing else. You don't have to live in a dark room anymore. And the better news is that now you have an opportunity to utilize the tools to fix it. I'm Dr. Beck, and I'll see you in the next video.